All right, so good morning, good afternoon, and evening, everyone. My name is Pedro, and I am an enrollment counselor at Coursera. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to today's webinar. We will be discussing the International Foundation Program for Computer Science. Joining me today are Jalina, fellow enrollment counselor from Coursera, who will be monitoring the live chat for your questions. So feel free to add your questions to the Q&A chat box as the presentation goes on. We will be responding to some of your questions immediately, and some others will be saved for the live Q&A session at the end. In addition, we will be providing a link to schedule a meeting with an enrollment counselor in case you want to discuss your interest in detail or if you have any pending questions. We also have Naomi joining us from marketing today, who will be monitoring the slides. And we have some special guests from the University of London for a faculty interview. So let me just make a pause for them to introduce themselves.
Okay, I'm Dr. Etain Casey from the University of London, and I'm the course director of the International Foundation Programme for Computer Science.
And I'm Dr. Jill Stewart, also from the University of London, and I'm involved in one of the modules, which is the Academic Skills for Computer Science module.
And last but not least, Dr. James Abdi, also from the University of London, also known as an academic subject expert, and I've been advising in different aspects on all four of the modules: mathematics, statistics, programming, and academic skills. Thank you very much for joining.
Fantastic. Thank you all for joining today's webinar. So throughout the webinar, I encourage you to actively participate and ask questions using the Q&A chat box. And please remember, if we have not responded to your questions, don't worry. Most likely, we are saving that question for the live Q&A, since it could be a common concern, which answer could help to provide insight for the whole audience. All right, so let us start by taking a look at the webinar structure in the next slide. During today's webinar, we will begin with a program overview, where we will be exploring the program structure and the online format, giving you a comprehensive understanding of the program. Following that, we will delve into the admission process and the tuition fees. And then we will move on to the faculty interview and the live Q&A session to address any remaining questions or concerns. Now, let's begin with the program overview in the next slide. So first, to give you a little bit of context, let me talk about the University of London and Coursera briefly. The University of London, on one side, is one of the world's leading universities, internationally recognized for its high academic standards. This reputation is based on the outstanding teaching and research of the 17 Federation members. Coursera, on the other hand, was founded with a vision of providing life-transforming learning experiences to anyone, anywhere. It is now a leading online learning platform for higher education, where learners from around the world come to learn skills for the future. This partnership between University of London and Coursera offers the possibility that anyone, anywhere has the power to transform their lives through learning. Now, regarding computer science in general, which is the area of interest for many of you here, is providing important and exciting new opportunities for study and work worldwide. This International Foundation Program for Computer Science we will be discussing today will help you to acquire the knowledge and the skills that are essential for you to take the next steps in furthering your study and your career. This program has been designed for all learners, regardless of prior academic or professional experience, featuring foundational curriculum in mathematics, statistics, and computer programming. Once you successfully complete the International Foundation Program for Computer Science, you will meet the entry requirements for the Bachelor in Science in Computer Science delivered by the University of London under the academic direction of Goldsmiths, University of London through Coursera. And then you will be ready to register in the next available registration session. It is important to highlight that if you could successfully complete the International Foundation Program for Computer Science, you will not carry any credits for the modules passed towards the Bachelor in Science in Computer Science from the University of London. The goal of this program is to prepare you and for you to have a smooth transition into the bachelor's degree in computer science offered by the University of London. All right, now let's continue with the program structure in the next slide. During this program, students will follow a planned schedule overseen by a module leader and their online tutors. Much of the learning is self-directed with rich content and self-paced activities, supported by expert tuition at key intervention points. Tutors will introduce the modules, respond to queries, provide guidance on assessments, and arrange scheduled webinars for discussions with fellow students. The International Foundation Program for Computer Science consists of 4 modules in total, which are designed to be studied over 18-week sessions. You can enroll into a maximum of 4 modules per session, allowing you to complete the entire program in a single session, or spread the course load over 3 years. So it is incredibly flexible. The program provides a robust introduction to mathematics, statistics, and programming, equipping students with the skills and academic confidence for degree level studies. You will familiarize yourself with the widely used coding language Python. You will learn how to interpret and summarize data and perform mathematical calculations. Also, you will fill in the gaps in your knowledge of mathematics and statistics on your own terms. So you can study independently and at your own pace while working full-time or attending other commitments. We will have the chance to get more insights on the modules during the faculty interview, so stay tuned. At the moment, let's move on to the online format in the next slide. This program is delivered entirely online through Coursera. You will complete your application, registration, and payment process through the University of London portals. And then after registration, you will receive instructions on how to connect your Coursera account with the University of London content. Once the session begins, what a typical day might look like for you is that you log onto Coursera and you will see the courses you have registered for on your dashboard. And you will notice that the coursework is broken down into weekly pre-recorded video lectures, quizzes, and assignments. The program is fully online, so no live attendance is required, which means that you can study at your own schedule from anywhere, as long as you have a computer and internet access. Also, for your reference, you can expect to commit an average of 8 to 10 hours per week for one module, and it is up to you on how you manage that time. Also, you will receive credentials to access to the University of London student portal as well. You can access your University of London email account and other key resources, including the virtual learning environment, which offers online support, study materials, and access to an online forum where students can interact, exchange ideas, and network, of course. There's also the student guide, which provides information that is common to all students and gives guidance on the range of issues relating to your study experience. And also the online library, which provide access to over 100 million academic electronic items comprising ebooks, e-journals, conference proceedings, etc. Now, for this program, you will need regular access to a computer with an internet connection to use the University of London online resources and systems. For some modules, you will need need audio and video recording programs, for example, Microsoft Excel, STATA. And for more information about the computer requirements, please visit the link that Jelena will be dropping in the queue in the chat below. Regarding the assessments, you will be assessed online through exams, programming assignments, and quizzes. The online examinations take place in May and October each year, and you will receive an admissions notice approximately 2 weeks before the examinations are scheduled to take place. Each international foundation program for a computer science module is examined by a 2-hour 15 unseen examination, and you have a maximum number of 3 attempts at the online examination for each module. If you fail the assessment for a module, you can choose to either resit the examination or retake the module in full, provided, of course, that you have not exceeded the maximum number of attempts at the assessment. All right, now let's move on to the student support in the next slide, please. It is super important to mention that at every step of your learning journey, you will have access to a dedicated online student support team who will guide you and advise you, helping you fit your studies around your work and family commitments. And like we mentioned earlier, all the students receive tutor support and feedback. Tutors, remember, introduce modules, respond to questions in the tutor forum, peer discussion forums, and provide guidance on the assessments. For technical issues, you can speak with a support representative from Coursera using the live chat offered 24/7 via the Learner Help Center. Now, aside from the discussion forums, which provide a space for you to interact with peers and teaching staff, share resources, and post questions, you also have the awesome possibility to interact with your peers in real time through Slack. Slack is a workspace. So lots of opportunities to engage and network with peers from all around the world. Remember, the main purpose of the International Foundation Program for Computer Science is to prepare you for a smooth transition into the University of London Bachelor in Science in Computer Science from the University of London. So it is important for you to know that after you have completed the bachelor's degree in computer science, which is going to be the next step, there will be amazing career support as the university works closely with the careers group, a university service to offer a range of fantastic online resources to maximize your student experience. Those resources include live drop-in sessions with a senior career consultant and professional development events like alumni panels, for example. They also host great career webinars weekly throughout the year as well. All right, so next up, let's learn about the application process. As you embark on this exciting journey of pursuing higher education, navigating the admission process can seem intimidating sometimes. However, Coursera enrollment counselors are here to guide you through each step and ensure that you have a clear understanding of the requirements and procedures. Let's take a look to the admission requirements and the checklist of documents in the next slide. Applications are now open, and you can submit your application by December 6, 2024 for the session starting in January 2025. No application fee is required. Jalina will be dropping the link to the University of London application portal for you to start working on your application when you are ready. Now, to be considered for registration for the International Foundation Program for Computer Science, you will need to meet the following minimum criteria. First, you need to be 18 or more by the 31st of December in the year of registration. You need to have passed at least 4 separate subjects at the GCSE or GCE O level with grades between A to C or the equivalent high school qualifications. Equivalences could include high school completion in the United States. Submit your personal statement is also another requirement where you provide details on why you want to study the University of London International Foundation Program for Computer Science. The course is delivered in English, so you will need to be proficient in English to be admitted into the program. Let's check one by one the elements of the application process. So first, you need proof of identity. You can use a scanned copy of one of these documents. So it could be your birth certificate, your passport, or national identification card. If you have changed your name, the university will need to see evidence related to that too. You need the proof of your qualifications. Remember, you need to have passed at least 4 separate subjects at GCSE or GCE O levels with grades between A to C. In some scales, it's going to be 9 to 5 as well. The personal statement. You need to submit your personal statement to provide details of why you want to study the University of London International Foundation Program for Computer Science. This should be a maximum of 250 words, and you will need to be clear, concise, and to be persuasive as well. And regarding the English requirements, remember the course is delivered in English, so we'll need to be proficient. The university will need to see evidence that you have a good standards of English, and this may include GCSE in English language. You need to have obtained grade C or the equivalent. You need, or another option could be to prove that you have spent 5 years at secondary school taught only in English, or a proficiency test within the last 3 years. Yelena will be dropping the link for you to take a look in detail at the admission requirements. And if you want to see which proficiency test could be accepted, you will find all detailed information in the link Yelena will be dropping. Now, let's continue with the tuition fees in the next slide. In the next slide, we will be able to see the tuition fees. The total cost of the program, as you will be able to see, is 4,500 British pounds. And the tuition is paid before the beginning of each term. You only have to pay for however many modules you would like to study in each term. And the cost per module for your reference is 1,125 British pounds. You pay tuition fees directly to the University of London through your student portal. And also students can pay their fees via online, but credit card, debit card, bank transfer, or flyware as well. Now, let's continue with the next slide, and we will get to the moment we were all waiting for, the faculty interview. So let's all give a warm welcome to our special guest from the University of London. Welcome, Dr. James, Dr. Jill, and Dr. Aiden. How are you doing today?
I think we're all good.
Yeah,
Very
great. Thanks
good.
for having us.
Thanks to you for taking the time to be here today and join our webinar. We are very excited to have you here, and I know the students have been looking forward to this too. So we have some great questions for you. So let's kick this off, shall we? All right, so first question. Could you provide an overview of the core modules covered in the foundation program and how they prepare students for undergraduate study?
I think that's going to be my slide. So thank you very much, Pedro, for giving such a good outline of our modules. I'm just going to add a little bit to your description, just explaining how they relate to undergraduate studies. So if we start with the maths, this level and content of mathematics is specific for computer science, and science, technology, engineering, and maths. It's important to point out that it can be the knowledge can be used in these areas at this level. Turning to statistics, we're approaching statistical problems and the application of statistical methods. And Dr. Abdi is going to talk about this a little bit later. But the point is that the math at this level is elementary level, so quite accessible for students. Now, the programming, this is quite exciting. It gives students a jump on the kind of projects and demands that typically accompany a regular computer science degree at undergraduate level. So working on individual problem solving and using, as you mentioned, Pedro, the favored programming technology. Now, academic skills is a quantitative and a qualitative module. And this is the real added value on this program, because this module not only complements the other modules, but it gives students an insight into the context of the whole technology industry. Not only programming, but many, many other functions as well, and at many other levels. Dr. Stewart's going to go into this in a bit more detail a bit later on, so I won't provide detail on this. But the aim of this module, both elements of it, is to upskill students so that they will have future success at undergraduate level.
Sounds perfect. And thank you very much for those insights. I'm pretty much sure this is reassuring for all the students that are looking to join this program. Now, if you allow me, I would like to pass to the next question, which is what programming languages and development tools will the students be exposed to during the foundation program?
I will take up this one. So, well, as we've been previously mentioned, Python is our programming language of choice. And let me just perhaps give a little rationale for that. As I'm sure all the attendees here today, again, thank you very much for joining, will be aware that there are many programming languages out there. Realistically, no one is going to know all of them, just as in terms of like spoken languages. I mean, there no doubt will be thousands, tens of thousands of languages and dialects globally. Even the most polyglot out there would only ever master a few with complete fluency in their lives. So currently, Python would be the most widely used programming language in industry. And clearly, we're thinking about people undertaking this international foundation program in computer science to subsequently progress to undergraduate study and thereafter, potentially via a master's degree, enter the real world. And Python is really the leading programming language used commercially. Also, I would say Python is a very good entry-level programming language. And frankly, the more programming languages you are aware of and are exposed to, the easier it becomes to learn new programming languages. Just like spoken languages, the first time you learn a foreign language, that's perhaps you're quite tough going, but particularly for similar families of languages, it becomes easier as you get used to sort of the vocabulary and grammar rules. Really, it's somewhat analogous with regards to programming languages. So the programming module is the specifically the location of where you will see Python in this IFP. Also, though, You will have some exposure to some software called Tableau, which is a data visualization tool. Now, this will feature in the quantitative part of the academic skills module. And trust me, as a subject matter expert, the data visualization is really such an in-demand skill. Even for non-technical people, being able to communicate potentially vast data sets very clearly, effectively storytelling with data, then the creation of engaging dashboards is an invaluable communication tool, and indeed communication skills, whether it be visual, oral, or indeed written, these are very much in demand by employers in a wide variety of industries. Finally, you will have some small exposure, but it's in there nonetheless in the statistics module to Microsoft Excel. Now, even though it may not be the most sophisticated tool for hardcore data analysis, nonetheless, if you enter a career in the data space, very likely you will be spending a significant amount of your time working within Excel. And the statistics for computer science module is the appropriate medium to give you that Excel exposure. And if I may just very quickly, I was speaking to a real University of London graduate just 3 days ago. And they are currently working for an airline. I won't mention any names. And I was just asking them what tools they use in their day-to-day job. So they're trying to optimize schedules, determining which planes to put where and how to arrange crews, etc. And indeed, it was, you guessed it, Python and Excel, a combination of the two. I appreciate that's a very small sample size of just one. However, I could offer many situations of graduates who make use of Python and Excel routinely, and being able to create dashboards through Tableau is an excellent skill to have, which you will have developed within this IFP.
Fantastic. Those were really valuable first-hand insights for you there. So thank you very much for the answers. And now let's move on to the next question. How does the program strike? And I think you covered a little bit of this already, but if some additional insights could be provided, we would like to know, how does the program strike in balance between theoretical concepts and practical application of computer science principle? But it has a lot of to be mentioned earlier as well.
I'll take this one as well. And for those joining in, we do know what the questions are. We've decided who's going to answer each one. Indeed, well, I like theory and practical applications. And I think for all those joining, just be aware, as you are no doubt contemplating different kinds of programs, look for the extent to which there is a theoretical and also applied focus. I would say courses which are purely theoretical may be very intellectually interesting, but when it comes to then applying things in the real world, they really struggle. Equally, courses that purely take a practical perspective, that they don't know how to sort of get started, particularly with a data-based project. So what we do is sort of try to get a good blend of the two throughout really all of the modules. You'll have the theoretical background, but then see multiple worked examples, particularly with a practical element to it. Now, admittedly, for any program of study, it is finite in nature. There's a maximum number of courses and a maximum amount of study time. And clearly, no course can put in every possible piece of information. So we inevitably have to be selective, but we do very much prioritize a nice blend of theory and practice, and if I may, also really the qualitative and quantitative with respect to the academic skills module. I know Jill will say a few more words on that shortly.
Amazing. Yeah, it is super helpful for students to know that there is a good blend in theory and also practical, so experience. So thank you very much for those insights. Now, being this International Foundation Program for Computer Science and Online program, students would like to know what kind of academic support and resources are available to the students, particularly if a learner requires additional assistance with certain topics or concepts.
Okay, this one's down to me. Pedro's already talked about the structure of the course, which includes all the different kinds of support. So I'll go into the roles of the online module tutors, very important people. The course is designed as what we might call guided learning. So as far as we can, we try to avoid leaving students wondering what the issue is, what the problem is, and what the answer is. We try to explain things very, very fully and to take them through the whole process and the steps, which I'll explain a little bit later. But in addition to this, every student belongs to what's called a tutor group, and academic support is provided by the online module tutors, and they participate in discussions, and very importantly, they hold webinars. Now, in these webinars, there's an opportunity to raise particular problematic issues. And what happens at the webinars is that the group can give some feedback, and there can be some learning reinforcement happening here. And we strongly advise that students either view or attend a webinar. Because if there's likely to be some area where although they may know many things, there may be some area where they need to brush up a little bit on topics that are most relevant to the academic needs or to their professional aspirations. Now, in addition, Pedro also talked about the online library, massive library. All students are members of this, registered students, and there students can access the study resources that we have linked to the course. So in other words, our core texts. We can refer them, they can go there and do some reading outside of the course materials on the platform. So it's a very reassuring environment, I would say. Students are not left wondering either who to talk to or where to go, and they can be supported through the whole journey of this particular course.
That is wonderful. Yes, because now you know that you have a program that is flexible, that will allow you to work at your own schedule, but you are going to be supported all the way. So you have different ways to receive support, and also why you have the flexibility as well. Thank you very much for that answer. Now let's move on to the next question. How does the program facilitate the development of essential skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, and logical reasoning, and which are crucial, but essentially which are really crucial to computer science students?
Yes, I believe that one's me. So I wanted to sort of highlight what is this that we mean when we talk about critical thinking. It's something that we gets used a lot when we talk about education. And what I want to emphasize is that on this course, it's really not just about memorizing information, but learning how to apply logic based on evidence in order to develop your own opinions and understandings of the wider context of computing. So it really provides you with a sort of a three-dimensional education. And so, for example, on the academic skills module, we'll be looking at things like the environmental impact of computing and the importance of sustainability. Also, things like the legal implications and elements that you will need to know in your future career with regards to things like data protection for when you're designing websites. Also, things like the implications of artificial intelligence and the interesting ethical questions that are coming up around that sort of topic. Also, the economic impact of computing. So the way this is sort of changing the way that we shop and the way that computers are changing the different careers that people have and what this means for you, but also for wider society. So that's where we really want to encourage students to not just learn the programming, but to also engage in, as James mentioned, as Dr. Abdi mentioned earlier, in the data visualization element of the course, also how to present this information and interpret things like wide data sets, which is so important when we're living in an era where data interpretation is so important. And so, yeah, we really want students to come out of this program with a set of skills that is encompasses again, programming and computer designs of elements with computing, but also wider ethical and societal issues. And I think this is important because it will equip students and help prepare them for going on to undergraduate study. Critical thinking skills and problem solving skills are incredibly important. at the undergraduate university level, and also going into your careers in the future, so that you feel like you have a really solid foundation across a lot of different areas that will be important and applicable to you in your future.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now let's move on to the next question. Could you please explain the teaching and assessment methods used in the program and how they aligned with the learning outcomes?
Right, that's for me. The learning outcomes I mentioned a little bit earlier on when we were looking at the actual relationship between the course and undergraduate study. So the University of London uses a teaching model which is called CAFE, C-A-F-E, and that stands for content, activity, feedback, and evaluation. So this is our in-house instructional design method. So you can expect each week a similar pattern of engagement. So there will be video introductions, lectures by the module leaders, recorded lectures, worked examples in mathematics, readings, as I mentioned, and guided activities. Of course, there will be quizzes, and students will be able to access model answers where it's appropriate, and maths workings to make the structure clear. Now, what that creates on a course is a rhythm of instruction. So you log on and you know that during that week you're going to be following these activities, and it's going to be the same. It's going to be predictable. You won't have to go looking all over the platform for what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And you can be confident in learning it at your own pace. When you're trying to do studies and you're trying to mix it with your own life, you need an element of predictability there, and to know why you are doing something. What's the point? Why am I reading this? Why am I doing this calculation? And what's the outcome? How am I progressing? So this is quite a well-established, what we might call a pedagogical design, a way of teaching knowledge. Now, on the subject of assessment, this is an area where students often get quite unnecessarily anxious, possibly. Pedro's explained that students must pass all 4 modules to complete the course, and that the assessment is by a 2-hour, 15-minute examination. So it's an examination, that is what you would do at the end of the course. But there is an important point about this, and that is that students will never be asked questions on anything that has not been covered on the course. The assessment is not a surprise. The assessment is based on what students have been learning. So there is a connection between what we assess and what we have been presenting. In addition, students will not be asked more questions than is necessary. So this 2-hour, 15-minute session is not a race. It's not a test of how quickly you can go through things and provide answers. That's not a good way to go about things. So those are 2 anxiety areas that we can successfully put out of the way. Now, in addition, for students, there will be practice papers. Students always love to see practice papers, so you get a good idea of the sort of questions that will be asked and what we call the format of the exam. How many sections, how many questions in each section, how long is the answer, how many marks for each section, so you can have some strategy about the way you deal with this. We strongly advise students to familiarize themselves with the format of the exam. Do not go into that exam not knowing how it is set up and becoming confused. So there will be practice papers, and there will also be revision sessions at which module leaders will take part, because this is a key part of the course. As we get towards the end, we need to have some summarizing, and we need to have possibly some more detailed personal assessment of how much you have absorbed from the course and what you still need to revise and to assimilate. So for those who are, worried about this sort of thing, I think my comment would be, well, don't, because the assessment is as well designed as the course.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And that's
If
definitely
I
reassuring.
If
Yes,
I may
please.
just add, so anticipating most who would undertake this international foundation program, let's say you successfully complete it, it's unlikely this will be the end of your study journey, and we would anticipate many students would progress to undergraduate study, whether in computer science or the other sort of STEM subject areas. And linked really, particularly to the teaching methods within this IFP, it really is a undergraduate style. I stress style, not level, but the style of learning is very much in keeping, particularly with the UK undergraduate system. So for those who are looking to progress to a British degree, for example, a University of London degree, then it's not just that the knowledge acquisition, but also the skills acquisition, but also the style of learning really does sort of prepare you for a more seamless transition and progression to undergraduate study. And just to reinforce what Dr. Casey mentioned about the assessments, clearly I know this can be a source of great anxiety for many students, but really you should not be anxious for the assessments. It's your opportunity to demonstrate to the examiners the knowledge and skills you've gained throughout the International Foundation Program. Indeed, specimen papers to be made available, so there won't be any sort of nasty surprises on exam day. So you should view the exams as a positive thing for you to signal your abilities to the examiners.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And now for the last question, can you please tell us what learners can expect from undergraduate level study if they choose to progress to further study?
I think that's me. Yes, I'm just reading the question. I'm just reading the question again to make sure I
No
understand what I'm
worries.
actually being asked here, but I think this is what I'm being asked. As James has demonstrated, our module tutors and specifically our module leaders are all active presently in teaching at undergraduate level and above, of course, in British University. They have wide experience of higher education. So students can actually be sure that the topics that they are going to study are appropriate to the level of undergraduate study. All of us know this level. We know exactly how to contextualize the information, how to present it. So the idea of the International Foundation Program is that students get a jump on their studies within that atmosphere, so that they're introduced to what we know are the key skills that are required at undergraduate level and beyond. And also, what are the topical issues that are being integrated into syllabi at undergraduate level. So it's contemporary, it's up to date. This is not based on some old model from somewhere. And we think it's a really good preparation for this level of study and should be inspiring. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, Dr. Stewart or Dr. Abdi.
I thought that was very eloquently put, if I may say so. And actually, because as Dr. Casey was very carefully reading the question, and that will be a key skill when it comes round to our assessments. A key thing is to make sure you read the full question, such that you are answering what the examiners are asking. So I think Dr. Casey showed us exactly how it's done.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Get an A.
Thank you so much for all the answers and insights. I'm pretty sure all the audience does appreciate those insights. All right, so now let's open it up for a Q&A from the chat. We will give you a few seconds to submit your questions. We will try to answer as many as possible in the time that we have left, but if you require some clarity, you want further information, please don't hesitate to drop your questions in the Q&A chat box. We will be happy to address them. So let's take a look to what we have here at the moment. Okay, this is a good one. Can the modules be taken simultaneously, or it is recommended to go through them individually? What is the recommendation from the experts?
Well, I'm sure we may all wish to jump in. I mean, it can be done in either way. Of course, if you are studying courses simultaneously in parallel, that's quite a heavy study load. So one just needs to think about time management and not to take on too much in one go. But in principle, you could take all 4 courses. 6 months, the minimum time frame to complete the program in its entirety. But of course, we like to be as flexible as possible. And clearly, people's circumstances vary a lot with your job commitments, personal commitments, etc. So you have that 3 years sort of maximum period of registration to complete. All I would say is if you were to do them sort of in sequence, while there's no particular requirement to do courses in a particular order, my personal view, certainly with regards to sort of the mathematics, the statistics, and the programming, those 3 do lend themselves quite well to studying them in that particular sequence. Really, you can do them all together, but I would anticipate most people on this call will be more familiar, let's say, with mathematics rather than statistics, given that maths is taught to for children from a very young age. For many, perhaps this might be their first exposure to statistics as a subject, likewise with programming. So from a pure familiarity perspective, students might be more in their comfort zone, perhaps beginning with mathematics, then perhaps progressing to statistics because they complement each other quite well, and then sort of consolidating that in the programming module. Of course, the academic skills are super important, but of course, it's not sort of subject specific per se. So all I would say is that those 3 modules, if you were to do them sequentially, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I think I'd second that. If you want to do all 4, yes, you can. But with the provisos that Dr. Abdi's given, not to be too ambitious, not to overload yourself and then think, oh, I wish I hadn't actually been quite like that. My circumstances have changed, etc. So these are judgments that students themselves can make. But from our experience, yes, there's nothing wrong about that. And the sequence of modules, yes, it is important. It is important. You might like to go for the academic skills first to get an idea of the context of the study. But certainly, it is entirely up to the individual.
Perfect. Also, something really important is to make sure you have the amount of time available in order to dedicate to your studies. Remember, one module on average will require 8 to 10 hours per week. So if you are willing to take the 4 modules in one session, you need to make sure you have approximately, let's say, 40 hours per week of available in order to progress on your study. On average, it could be a little bit less, but it is important to make sure you have the time and you don't get overwhelmed. So you can start with 2 or 3, and then you can decide if you can change the course load. Or if you're completely sure you have the time, feel free to do it. So, but also taking on board the recommendations provided by the academics. All right. Now we have another question. We covered already this, but it doesn't hurt to refresh. Someone is asking about the cost of the program. Remember, the cost of the program, the whole program, the total cost is 4,500 British pounds. You pay per module enroll. So if you want to spread the course load along the 3 years maximum, you have to complete the program. You gotta start taking one at a time, one module at a time, and you will be paying 1,125 British pounds for one module. Or if you want to take just in one session, it will be 4,500 British pounds. Remember, you pay per module enrolled. The total cost, just to recap, 4,500 British pounds. Now, this is a really good question from Harun. The question is, it is required for the computer science degree or it is just optional? Great question. So yes, if you're looking to join this program, it's probably because in the future you would like to join the bachelor's in science, in computer science from the University of London. Now, if you will be able to meet the entry requirements for the bachelor's degree, it could be optional. However, I have been nurturing students from the last 2 years in the Bachelor in Science and Computer Science from the University of London. So many of the students will come from different backgrounds. Some students, they're looking for a career change and they have been out of the school for a long time. So they want to gain momentum. They want to prepare before joining a big commitment that is going to be the bachelor's degree. So it's optional, but it could be a good recommendation if you have been out of the school for a long time. You need to refresh your mathematical or statistical skills. It will be a good, or you want to have an introduction or some foundational knowledge in computer science. It could be a great opportunity to start your academic journey, which in the future will be the bachelor's degree in computer science for the University of London. So if you meet the requirements, it will be optional for you. All right. Another question, how many years is the course? Remember, each module has been designed to be studied over an 18 weeks session. There are 4 modules in total. So if you want to do it, so you can complete the whole program in just one session, which will be 18 weeks or an academic semester. All right. But also you have the chance to take a more flexible approach, enrolling just one module per session, and you have up to 3 years to complete the program. So it could be between 6 months to 3 years. It will depend on the course load you decide to choose. Let's check for more questions. This question, do you provide support, advice on how to study smartly and efficiently? If some of our guests would like to take this question.
Yes, 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 I will do that. Because in addition to access to the University of London Online Library, there are a number of other sites on the University of London platform which are to do with study skills in a little more basic manner, not what we are offering in terms of contextualizing it to computer problems and ethics, but in terms of simple study skills, as in reading and compiling written responses, and note-taking from text, the sort of things that you would expect. Now, information about these things will be presented to students on what we call the orientation module. And that is the first module that all students will do before they get access to their subject area. So you have to do that orientation module for a very good reason, so that we can inform you of everything that is available to you at that moment. And there are other sites as well to do with being a student and making sure that you pursue your studies in, as Pedro was saying, your time management, that you understand these concepts as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. I think we don't have more questions at the moment. But as you can see on the presentation, there is a QR code. It will allow you to schedule a meeting with an enrollment counselor. So if you want to discuss your interest in detail, you still have some questions, feel free to scan the QR code, schedule a meeting with an enrollment counselor. We're going to be there for you, to support you, to provide further information. So yes, feel free to reach out to us. If no other questions at the moment, I just want to thank you all for joining the webinar. Thank you to our guests. It was a really pleasure to have you here and to be able to provide firsthand information to the prospective learners. So thank you very much and have an amazing rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.